Hello everyone, this one is a little bit of a different video for those who follow the Monster Hunter Stories Iceborne mod. I have recently gone through and started adding tempered materials for your Monsties. This is something that I meant to do a long time ago and then I forgot. I've been busy. So, we'll go into the add-ons channel. So this is how you find it, and then at the very bottom, at least for now, it's under the lower render resolution thing. It'll say tempered materials for your Monstie, and then you just click into the thread, and I'll go ahead and fully expand the thread. And at the top here, there is instructions, which would be the same for every single install, which is why instead of copy pasting it for every single thing like I do for skins, I just went ahead and put it at the top because they're all made the same. There is a note here that all of these require a special MRL3. That's how the tempered modifier is made. So if you use another visual mod that edits a Monstie's MRL3, it will break. Now, the way that you can fix this is by editing the MRL3 file and rerouting it yourself to reattach those missing files, or you can simply rename the files to match their vanilla counterparts, and they will be auto-selected by the tempered MRL3 that I have made. So Diablos, for example, he is EM007, and his normal body texture will be EM007 underscore 80 underscore BML.text, I believe. And so all you would have to do if you're using a mod that changes his body texture is make sure that that is the exact same code that it uses for the body texture, and same for any other files. They just have to match. They can't have any special unique names like blackdiablos.text. If they're changing it to a Black Diablos, it has to be his special code, and then it will replace automatically whenever put into his Monstie folder, this folder right here. And speaking of Diablos, he was the first tempered that I made. And I guess real quickly, I'll just say most texture mods should just work by default. You will have to install them separately, but if you install the tempered file and then you install another reskin, 99% of them should just work just fine. If they change the model, they will not work. If you have any questions specifically about any particular ones, I recommend that you ask in Discord, because it might require a more technical answer, which will be easier to get through in Discord rather than in a YouTube comment. But you can ask in the YouTube comments as well. I'm just probably going to direct you to the Discord if it's something that I'm going to have to send you a specific file for example. And there is a dedicated channel for this kind of thing, screenshots and skins, though you can ask in the general Iceborne Stories chat. That's just kind of for all things Iceborne, but the screenshots and skin is more specific to sharing screenshots and skins and video clips and things like that, and also discussing those things. Now, I'm going to quickly go through the list of which ones are done so far. I will eventually have all available Monsties made. There's just a little tedious, so I'm doing them, whenever I feel like it in my free time. I just do maybe a handful here, a couple there. So we have Diablos, Kieran, Garuga, who can only be scarred on Garuga, by the way. You cannot have a normal tempered Garuga. It will always be scarred. That's just how the game made it. Rajang, Kushala Deora, Lunastra, Teostra, Tigrex, and here is an example of me using the tempered modifier on a skin that I made. This is my Flooded Forest Tigrex, and the tempered works just fine on these skins. It looks really cool too, having like a custom look with the shine. It's so good. Here's Brute Tigrex, Nargacuga, Velkhana. I almost called Nargacuga by my Nargacuga's name. That was funny. And then for Barioth, there's two options. You can have a tempered normal Barioth, Or you can make your your Monstie is always in normal Barioth, but you can make him look like a Frostfang if you wish. There's a tempered Frostfang. Now, the tempered Frostfang is a larger file, and I had to put it on Google Drive for you to get there. The reason for that is because I had to make sure that I had all the files needed to make him look like Frostfang. So whereas most of these are just the MRL3 file, for Frostfang, I had to send all of the visual files over so that it would be a full conversion to change him into the other Monstie. And it doesn't change the moveset, by the way. Same for Black Diablos. This is, you might tell she looks a little bit more intense than she typically does. So you can customize it to a degree. And so I edited some of her texture as well in the MRL3 file to make her look a bit more intense, but I kind of like it because it makes her look more unique. So she's still like a default Black Diablos. This is the vanilla textures, but I've just edited them in the MRL3 to make them look a bit more intense. So not only is she tempered, but she's a bit more bold looking. And that is all that I have for you so far. I will eventually go through all of the Monsties, and if for some reason you're new to this and you don't know everything, this is a full list of all available Monsties. I will not be reading them out because it is very long. But you can see all of the icons for them here. So we have both Anjanath, both Zinogre, both Odegarin, both Legiana, Silver and Gold, and then a bunch of other Monsties here. And I will quickly say that it probably will not be expanded on. Fandaris has toyed with the idea. He's talked about wanting to maybe add more Monsties that he had at least started on, because there's a lot of work in progress Monsties, but he is just so busy, he doesn't really have the time. And also, he's probably a bit burnt out. This kind of mod requires a lot of free time. It's just like a full-time job that you're doing in your free time. And he doesn't have that kind of time anymore. So he's pretty happy with how the mod is doing right now. So there's probably not going to be additional content unless he finds that time and that passion to want to spend that time on this instead of something else. Just so that we're completely clear for anyone who's been like crossing their fingers, holding their breath for like another big update to add more Monsties, because I know like Baroth, Kuloyanku, Great Gyros, and the other Wraths have all been in the works for a while, but none of them are ready to be released. And I don't know that they ever will be, just for complete transparency for everyone. But the community still is doing updates like this to, like, you know, with the temperate updates and things, to keep the experience nice and fresh, and it's something to come back to. And for those who don't know, this is the Monstie blacklist. These Monsties would never be Monsties, even if he added every monster that could possibly be a Monstie to the roster. These ones would never be added because of technical limitations. There is a reskin to turn your Nergigante into a Safi Jiva, possibly even a Xenojiva. It's just a visual transformation. And then I made one to turn Kushala into Elatrion, so you can have a wind element Elatrion, so to speak. But they're not actually those monsters, they're just model swaps. And I'm still working on the script. I haven't had a ton of time to sink into it soon, especially because I'm trying to make sure the channel keeps going at the same time. But eventually I'm going to be remaking that old video that I've unlisted, that's going to go through in detail everything that you need to know about the mod, all of the like tiny little details, and kind of dive into all of this stuff. I might even make it so that I can break it into smaller segments and post them separately, and then also just have like one big video so that it'll be one big cohesive piece that will be then like broken into bits, if that makes sense. We'll see how it goes. I'm still working on the script, so it's a ways off. But this video was mostly just to be like, hey, if you want tempered monsties, I remembered to do this now, and I will get through the list. I started on this, like 3 days ago? The 10th? What is today? It's the 14th, 4 days ago. And I've got this many. I'll get through it. And there's some other, like, model replacers. Like, I'll have to do, like, a tempered savage show and stuff, too, because even though we don't have a savage show monstie, we have a model replacer for it and stuff like that. So I'm trying to make sure I, like, get all those, all that stuff taken care of. I probably won't do the Safi Jiva model replacer that, like on Nergigante, just because it is a custom model. So they actually had to edit the model to make it fit the proportions of Nergigante. So stuff like that I'm not going to be touching. But if it is just the normal model on a monstie, like Elatrion and Savage Joe and Seething Basil Goose and Furious Rajang, all of those, they're just models slapped onto the other monsters. I can do those. It's just where the model is changed, like Safi Jiva, I won't be able to do that. Just FYI, so don't hold your breath for that one. And I think that's it. If you have any questions, any requests, any whatever. Oh, I guess, while I'm here. Real quickly, there is a channel where all the skins are that, I've made, community's made, some people have ported stuff over, so someone ported over Apexes from Rise, so you can have, an Apex Rathian monstie, if you wish. And I've just released this guy, which is a tempered Scardion Garuga, inspired by Silco from Arcane. I named it the Underworld Dion Garuga, instead of Undercity, Underworld, and just gave him a little blurb about being in the Rotten Vale, just because it felt fitting. So if you're interested in that, he's there. And yeah, if you're unaware, there's a bunch of skins in here made by a bunch of different people. Then, as far as I know, most of these are not on Nexus. They're only here. Some of them are double posted, so they are on Nexus and also here. But I know mine for sure. None of mine are on Nexus. They're only here. And once the tempered modifiers come out, you can combine these skins with tempered. So you can have a tempered Casper. That's what I think, what did I name this? Forest Viper? I named my Tobi Kadachi Casper. I can't wait to see what he looks like tempered. It looks really good on my Tigrex. She looks so pretty. This is my Flooded Forest Tigrex skin, which is available as well in the Discord. And having the tempered modifier on her, she looks so cool. And if you want to find that, it's just in the add-ons thing. These skins are up here under the Hunter Pie thing and above Velcana. How to reskin your monstie, skins for your monstie, and then all the way down at the bottom, at least for now, at the time of this video, tempered materials for your monstie, and then you just click into this thread, and they're all right here. I probably already said that, but that's okay. Repeating is gold. You can also make your Tobi Kadachi faster because he walks painfully slow. Io made this movement edit. They just replaced his run. You know, he just walks. He doesn't have a run. With Odegaren's run. And there actually was a recent update to it, so it's a little bit more smooth. It used to be a bit janky, but now it's not. And all sorts of other little fun stuff in here if you want to improve your hunting experience with or without monsties. Some of them are just like lower render resolution to make your game run better, and including the Velcana one up here. It's reduced Velcana effects. This makes it so that Velcana, the monstie, and also the wild one, both of them, it works on both. It won't lag your computer so much if you're running on a lower end PC. So once you have all those particles on your screen, I have a pretty decent PC, but my computer's getting older at this point, so it chugs sometimes. And Velcana, definitely, I feel it whenever I have that Monstie with me. I feel like it definitely taxes my computer more. So this mod is a big help, and it doesn't really look any different, but it runs better. But you don't even have to do a special installation for stories. You just install it the normal way, which I did make instructions for it, and it automatically affects the Monstie as well. And I think that's it. Except, I mean, if you're listening to me, it's probably not really relevant, but it might be relevant. I don't know. There is now a Chinese translation of the installation guide. There's always been, not always, there's been some other ones. We have Japanese, we have Korean, we have Portuguese, we have French, and now we have Chinese. So if you or anyone that you know needs that, it exists now. I hope that is helpful. And I think that is all that I want to cover in this little particular thing. Everything else, like I said, working on a much bigger video for that. But if you have questions, feel free to comment down below or join the Discord, and you will get the help that you need. Thank you very much.